Okay, so guys, Johan is part of My Inner Hope, which is a non-profitable organization. So I'm going to do a little brief background of it. So it serves to help Christians understand their Bible and just to help them understand it on a personal level. It tries to help an unbelieving world understand why we need God. Isn't that pretty awesome? So a little background from my point. So I hosted church about 3 weeks ago, and I had to do a little bit of a breakdown on the workshop for today. And I spoke to Johan probably for about 5 minutes before the service, and the amount of information he gave me within 5 minutes was incredible. To see how much passion Johan has, to see how much drive he has from Jesus. So we honor you today, Johan, as we give glory to God. Thank you. We're excited to see what you have.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. That's a bit of makeup. Yes, so thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for just being happy. Thank you for being excited. It's brilliant to have this type of day where everyone just wants to find out more about God, and it's just like a vibe, which I really like, because the worship leader was the slops and hat, and if you are comfortable, don't judge the worship leader just for slops. It's just how we roll. So yes, thank you so much for coming. I just love this vibe, and about 2 years ago I actually went to a bride. I know in South Africa we're not very creative, that's about all we do. But yes, so I went to a bride, and it was one of those guild brides. I don't know if you guys know what a guild bride is, but a guild bride is one of those brides that you go to about once a year to connect with that family that you never see, because they're either too far, or just not part of your normal thing. It's not that they're bad people or so, or anything like that, it's just there's no time. And we rocked up a bit early. Sorry, we usually do as well. And yeah, so while we were there, I'm chatting to the host, and food boxes are still rolling in, and yeah, so we get talking, what's life, what's new with you, what's going on. And she talks about her work and things like that, and I'm very excited because we've been busy with the small little booklets that you guys got in your welcome pack. And so I'm very passionate about this, the small little booklets that we wrote to help people understand Christianity in general. So if you're a new Christian, it sort of gives you the brief overview of what everything's all about. If you're not a Christian, it teaches you why in a more simple type manner. And the second booklet is about the Bible, just like every book in the Bible, divided into small pieces. So I'm very excited, and it's a very Christian conversation. And then the next moment she asked me, so why do I think our God is the only God? And for some reason, even though we just finished the booklets, even though we're still busy with this project, and even though I'm very excited and passionate about this, for some reason I just go back. And I didn't know how to answer. And eventually I gave her one of those plus magnet type answers that you put on your fridge. It looks brilliant, but it doesn't have any substance, like God will be with you. And it's beautiful, and we say that. But it doesn't really mean anything to her, because at that stage, I'm not really sure where she is, faith-wise. Is she really saved, or does she just have one of those Christian badges, like, yes, that stops the conversation from you preaching to me, come with me to Sunday? Or was she really asking? Because that's what we had today. We have about 3 different types of questions, or 3 different types of people who ask questions. The first type are those generally they want to know more about God. You also have those people who just want to have a confrontation. Get those that just want to, they hate Christianity with passion, because 10 years ago it lasted as something bad. And some of you might be here, and I'm sorry, but it's just one of those where we get angry at God for what we do. And then we also have questions on a personal level. And the problem is we don't really know how to answer these questions. When you're at a bride, because they rock up at the strangest places, people ask you, like, why this or why that, or you need to take a new job, or think about moving. We don't know how to answer these questions because we don't know what God really wants. Not because we don't know, it's just, I don't think we've been taught who we've ever thought about. And the whole foundation for today, I realized while I was actually preparing for today, I still remember I was about yay big, about 5 or 6, and I went to my dad to his office, and I think it was in Victoria, I can't remember. And it was school holidays, and I was just sitting and we were relaxing, or I was relaxing, he was working. And at one stage he had to go to a meeting, but he didn't want to leave me in his office. He was just like 2 or 3 doors down, but he still didn't want to leave me there for about 20 minutes. He said, okay, listen, I'm sitting at my computer, I think it was Windows like 1. So he was way, it was like solitaire was just sort of getting good. And he taught me how to play solitaire. And it's so stupid, But he told me, and he's like, okay, do this will keep you busy for hopefully about 20 minutes, and then I'll be back, and then we can go home, and finish recording. And for some reason, while I was preparing this course, God just reminded me of how I sat there, and he taught me how to double click. And there's something so silly. And for those of you who know my dad, he's brilliant, he's very, very smart, I cannot do anything about anything. But when it comes to computers, I'm sorry, he's properties. He has no idea where what is. Like, if anything changes, he phones like, I love you, Dad, please don't hit me. But like with his limited knowledge of computers at that stage, he was able to teach me how to double click. And now today I'm a proper geek. I'm sorry, my love. So today I'm a proper geek. My dad doesn't know anything about computers, but yet he put the ball rolling. And it's with that heart that we're doing this course today. Because I don't know everything, please do not think I do. When you come afterwards to me or to anyone of the team or anyone here, and you ask them a question and they're like, I don't know. Like, don't be angry. It's like, I can teach you what you know, and afterwards please come to me and tell me what you know. Then that's how we grow. So I don't think I know everything, but I want to share what I do. And if anything convicts you, please question it in your heart. If something affirms your faith, let it go. And just enjoy the course. Or the day anyway. So the outline for today, we're just going to start off with basically what is the Bible, why we can trust it. I think that's the foundation. Before we get into the Bible, let's talk about why we can actually believe this. Why is this a thing? Why is this something we can trust? We don't need to write it down. But today is, we're going to start off with why. That's a short session. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a whole lot of information, but we're going to enjoy it. We're going to go through it because I know how quickly we get bored and not everything like interested in. Then the second part, we're going to run through the Bible from start to finish. It is possible, and then you're going to have a general outline of how it goes. And then session 3, we're going to teach you how to do the Bible, how to make this part of your life. Not just read the Bible, you should read the history, read you. Let's make it part of your life. How to actually dissect and understand. So that's the whole outline for today. But before we start, I please need all of you to put your booklets on the side of you. Okay, just put it next to you. Then I need you all to move a bit to the front of your seats so that your lower back just touches like the touch of your seats. Okay? And once everyone's done that, then I need you all to please stand up. Okay? Now I need you all to please step hands. Thank you so much. Now at least when the day finishes and everyone asks me how they go, it's like when I hand you on the edge of the seat, you gave me a standing ovation. So literally nothing can go bad from here on out. Good foundation set from the get-go. Okay, now in the back of your booklets, you see notes. Okay. I need you all to make like small little ticks. Every time you know an answer, stop making ticks for those of you who are very eager. Okay, so I'm going to ask 7 questions. Every time, and this is a personal thing, don't look at the guy next to you because it's going to make you feel awkward. So every time I'm going to ask 7 questions. Every time you think personally that you really know, not like you think it's roughly between the start and the finish. If you really think that you know this, then please make a tick. Okay? And don't worry, no one's going to see it. It's for you. That's what I'm saying. Look like small in a corner, just for you. If you're sitting alone, question number 1. If you're alone at home and you're thinking, I would like to worship God and just say thank you, where in the Bible can I look for some guidance? Do you know where to start looking? If you can do that, make a small little tip. If you complete, this is honest, this is for you. By the end, hopefully you'll know all of this. So don't worry. So, if you want to find out more about Israelite history, about the Jewish or the Israelite history, or even the history of the world, where do I start? You guys know this? If you can do this, start making ticks. Just one. If you want to know about Christianity history, or Christian history, or about Christianity as a whole, like, do you really know? Make another tick next to it. If you look at your Bible and you're thinking to yourself, I was at this bar the other day, and this is very like on a pedestal type person, and they was like, drinking alcohol is a sin, and she was just like hitting me with the Bible. And you've got your opinion, but do you have anything in the Bible to either refute or agree with it? Do you have any idea where to start looking about how you can answer these types of questions? Is drinking alcohol a sin? Is drugs? Whatever your question is, your type of sin that someone proposes to you, where can I start looking for this type of thing? Number 5, read about what still needs to happen before Jesus comes back. If you've got an idea of where to start reading before Jesus comes back. And then, how do I need to live My Christian Life, so this basically ties into the first one, but when we get Christian guidelines, specifically for Christians today. And then the last one, do I know how to answer questions, like in a general scope? If I've got questions, this is a much more general one, so I think most of you can maybe just relate this to your own personal life. Think about that one moment where you've had a question. Without Googling, without asking your pastor, do you think you have an idea where to start looking? This is more of a general. Do you think you can search for answers in the Bible? Keep this not in your head or just leave it there. You're going to need it later on. And this is more just for personal reference. Because the thing is, why we're doing this today is because we can ask people, if you're a rugby fan, if you're a rugby supporter, like, listen, who do you think should be in the team? What do you think should happen here? And everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got an answer. But the moment I start saying, okay, can you please give me an answer? Or can you please give me an answer about Christianity? Even though you've been a Christian for like 1 or 2, maybe 10, 20 years, and suddenly you're like, yes, but I'm not a pastor. I'm not supposed to know this. But ask about rugby, not a rugby player, but yet to be know this. And that's just the type of life that we're living, and it's not a guilt trip. You guys are always here, so don't worry, this is good. So you're here because you want to learn more. So that's a good start. So I think we should start with the Bible now that we're there, now that we've set the foundation, and trust me, this is not working well. There we go, yes. Thank you, Mr. Soundman. I'm sorry, I think I pressed the wrong. Okay, so the Bible in general, just so that you know, if you can't see on the screens, 95% roughly of what I'm going to go through today is in your booklets. Okay, so if you want to make notes in your booklets, or if you can't see, please just remember you can have a look at most of this in your booklets. Most of this. Okay, so the Bible as a whole was created over a few thousand years. Many different people wrote it. Many people think, look at this book, and they think, okay, this is what I put a bigger book because I don't like struggling to read. But in any case, that's mine. My last one is a smaller one. Doesn't matter what the size it is, as long as you got a Bible, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the Bible was written over thousands of years, and as you can see, it's an Old Testament and it's a New Testament. Now, how the Bible was put together, just in general. So, you get these people at the start, when God created everything, and everything flowed, and then people started writing stuff down. And over thousands of years, they put everything together. And like people like that, how can we trust it? Don't worry, they took that down. Okay, so how can we trust this? So the Old Testament is 39 old Jewish manuscripts and writings. So the Jewish history, basically from this. God created everything, we messed it up. God promised us a Savior. We're waiting for the whole of the Old Testament, and then the New Testament started, 27 books of how the church started. So already you're starting to see a bit of a bigger picture. You all know the Old Testament is old and the new one is new, but now at least you sort of know. Like the old part is Jewish text put together as they were written, as they were compiled. People were scrutinizing these things. Remember, they didn't just like add them together and then there we go. Yeah, that fits. Because people will say, yes, what about the books that have been left out? You know, because they say Jesus this and these guys that. Name one book that makes anyone look good in the whole Bible. Like, the whole of the Bible makes everyone look good. Like, everyone looks bad. Like, Adam and Eve look bad. David looked bad. Moses looked bad. Everyone at some stage looked bad. So nowhere can you use that argument like, oh, but they're trying to hide something. Trust me, there's a whole lot that they kept in that makes everyone look bad. So in general terms, the Bible was completed about 380 AD. We've got a bit of a different one than the Roman Catholics. They've got a few added books. We don't really see them as trustworthy because there's a few things that don't really match up with the rest of the Bible. It sort of looks a bit weird. It might be true, it might be not. But because we're not certain, we just keep them out. The Roman Catholics keep them in. In general, it's not really something to stress about too much. Now, throughout all of this, we're looking at people fighting against the Bible. They're not sure whether we can actually trust the Bible. And this, I'm going to run through many different objections quickly, just to send you in like directions if you want to know more. I'm not going to answer everything because we're going to bore everyone to this. Not everyone is interested in this. So this is just to give you a little bit of affirmation and direction if you want to know more. Because whether you like it or not, you've got these types of books out there. And the reason I don't have more pictures on there is because by the time I got here, I was sort of frustrated, just sad, just angry, just like I wish these people would know more. Because we've got these books, faith versus fact, and their wording makes us look very bad and then very right. And I'm saying them, and I'm only referring to non-Christians because they don't know the truth yet. And if we realize this, they're fighting because they're looking for answers. We sang this earlier in worship. We're all looking for answers, but we don't know where to look. And this is what this is about. We need to know why we believe what we believe. So now, what we're going to do now is in the past, okay, so if we look at the historical manuscripts, how history, in fact, so now I'm going to use this illustration just so we've got this idea. So this is the Bible side, this is us Christians, we believe this. Non-believers, they believe this. And just in general, so that you can sort of get the idea. So non-believers, on that side, when we record history, there's a recording gap in general of ancient history. Ancient history. That is between 500 and 1,400 years. So something happens, and about 500 to 1,400 years later, then it gets recorded. And this is stuff like Plato. Some of you have heard of Plato, an old philosopher. Things like Homer's Iliad, which is just a poem about the Greek Trojan War, like the final part. That was very, like, people believe this because there's so many manuscripts. And the recording gap is so small, so this is trustworthy information. Also, Julius Caesar, definitely, so we believe this. But along with this writing gap, we also have the amount of manuscripts. And if you look on your screen or your booklet, you can see, like, Plato, the amount of manuscripts, between 7 and 30, Caesar, 10 manuscripts. We've got 10 manuscripts, or all pieces of paper that they dug up, and they believe this is trustworthy information. And these people, in general, are doubting us people on this side, because we know the truth already. But yet, when you compare the figures, the recording gap of the New Testament is between 50 and 65 years. How does this work? So something happens. The people are still alive when they're writing this. So if there's any doubt, these people can say, listen, I don't believe this. Like, I was there, that's not what happened. Those people, in general, can just make up anything, and there's no one to doubt it because no one is alive anymore. Where on this side, the people are still alive. That's why we can trust the Bible. And all of these facts, everything that I'm putting on the screen, you're more than welcome to go and research yourself. These facts are right depending on where you go, but generally that's what you get. Then, the number of manuscripts of the New Testament, over 24,000, compare that with 10 of Caesar. But for some reason, we get into this defensive position where we're not really sure where we're going because they're saying we don't know. And I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying we're not wrong as well. Because we need to get that, we're not defending anything that's just fictitious. We're believing something for truth. And then people also come with objections. And this is just something that people do. They say, listen, I think there's definitely some objections for the Bible, because at that stage they didn't have writing ability. You guys are saying Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. And then they go like, but wait, that's 5,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. No one could write at that stage. Yes, that's an objection. Let's go with that. And then we're like, but the books themselves say that the people who write at that stage, that's for us enough. But then, thankfully, God goes like this. It's like, opens up and gives them some evidence of something else that affirms us. Because then they found the Ebla tablets, they found the Palermo stone, all of these types of tablets and things that predate Moses by 1,000 years. So this happened 1,000 years before Moses. And this is all information that we can look to. People say like Luke didn't have an idea what he was writing about when he wrote the book of Acts because he uses a title called, what's the word? Not patriarch. Going to be with you now? There we go, Politarchs. Politarchs. And he uses this Roman title, almost like a mayor, Politarchs. And he says, but the Politarch did this, and they were like, we've never heard of this word ever before. This is just crazy. And then God's like, and I just see this, how God just waits for this moment where he gives doubt. And then he puts us through this test season where Christians are scrambling, like, we need to find evidence. And then they find these inscriptions all over the place. One of these inscriptions you can actually see in the British Museum in London now. It's on a big arch, and they talk about the Politarchs did this, the Politarchs did that. People also talk about historical discrepancies, supposed contradictions in the Bible. So people say, but yes, this book says this, and this book says this. Now I would like two of you, who here has a Bible? It's a Bible question, please raise your hand. Okay. Nate, can you please open up for me in Proverbs 26 verse 4? And who else wants to read out loud? It's like one sentence. Anyway. Can you please read for us? Proverbs 26 verse 5. But just find it while I speak about the rest. Because in Genesis 6 verse 19, for example, we read, bring a pair, now he's speaking of Noah. The story of Noah, the animals being don't forget the story. And we read that people say like, but listen, there's contradictions in the Bible. Bring a pair, that's two, of every kind of animal, male and female, into the boat to keep them alive during the flood. That's just two. And then people say, wait, in Genesis 7 verse 2 it says, take with you 7 pairs, male and female. Oh, contradiction. No, just continue to read. Of each animal I have approved for eating, for sacrifice, and take a pair of each of the others. This is literally, I found this like last night I was working, just like preparing everything, and you just see these people just like banging the Bible, saying, look at all these contradictions. And this is literally books that are being written, and people lose faith because they read this because we don't understand it yet. Nate, can you please read for us Proverbs 26 verse 4?
Don't answer the foolish arguments of fools, or you will become as foolish as they are.
And so don't answer fools because you will become foolish. The direct next verse, it says, okay, so that says, so answer a fool, otherwise he will be wise in his own eyes. So the one verse says, don't answer him, and the next verse says, don't answer him. Answer, don't answer him. Which is true. Is there a contradiction? I don't think so. I think both are right, just depending on the season. It depends what the food is and depending on the time. It sounds terrible, but it's biblical. It's literally biblical. It depends on who the food is. It depends on the situation. It's not a contradiction. Do you think that they're really, like, I wrote the verse, and the very next sentence, I wrote something else, and it doesn't have substance or reason. Both are true in season. We look at numbers. There are many, many things that they talk about, different types of contradictions, especially regarding numbers. One Bible verse would say 24,000. The next verse would say 24,500. I can promise you, if you ask my wife and I the same type of story, I will say 24,000. She will say 24,500. Both are true. It just depends on who tells the story. It depends on what perspective and why you're telling the story. Is this an historical, like I need this, or am I telling you a story to get the truth across? Now, I don't want to stay too long on this, but if you guys ever want to read more about contradictions, there's a very cool website called Contradicting Bible Contradictions. And it's just like this whole website full of Bible contradictions and their answers. Where you just look at the Bible and it's like, oh, this is actually what it means. So if you're ever looking at that type of thing, there's more than enough resources to help you and equip you. And now, one of my favorite topics, because everything before this is my perspective versus your perspective. Now we're getting to something where people really like it. Science versus God. This is thorough, big debates. And people are losing faith because they believe the Bible. Just like that verse, like that slide we saw before, between all the books that says fact versus faith. So one of the biggest things when we talk about science is evolution. That is, you know we're going to go there, but for me this is one of the things that I enjoy the most talking about, because we can look at science. I love science. I just said earlier, I enjoy computers and I enjoy technical stuff because it can improve. There's something that we can look at. So for those of you who don't know, many people are using science to try and debate God. And we've got people like Stephen Hawking, rest his soul, he was an atheist, he's not anymore, where it says there is no God, no one directs our faith. Stephen Hawking in his last book. And the argument that he used was the law of gravity. Because the law of gravity exists, God does not exist. I don't think I'm smarter than Stephen Hawking at all, but that is a false argument. The law of gravity describes something else. That's like me saying the laws of grammar mean English doesn't exist. The law of gravity explains what happens. It gives us reason, it gives us direction of what is actually happening. And this is the type of thing that we read these articles and we're like, oh no, they found proof against God. And it's just simply not true. Because what evolution teaches, for those of you who don't know, we believe we come from monkeys and now we're here. That's a very good response. I like that. Carry that out. No, but in all honesty, there are many people who believe this because we have scientific articles that talk about science and evolution. And what evolution, in a nutshell, before I continue to the next slide, what evolution teaches is that 14 billion years ago, nothing exploded. Some people believe that everything came together into small spots so small and then everything exploded. But yet, textbooks say nothing exploded because it got to nothing exploded. We don't know where it comes from, we don't know where it came from, but nothing exploded 14.6 billion years ago. It just exploded. And then about 4 billion years ago, everything settled. So it took about 10 billion years for everything to settle. And the Earth formed 4 billion years ago. And about 3.5 billion years ago, the Earth formed properly and it started raining on the rocks, and then the small little micro single-celled organism started to develop. This thing became a tadpole, tadpole became a fish, fish became a frog, frog became, and it just continued till a monkey and a tree and everything sort of developed. And this is literally what our children, not my children, but your children are being taught in high school. They are being taught this in universities. And they say we have fact. And this means that there is no proof. And for those of you who say, no, evolution doesn't say we don't come from nothing. Again, nothing existed before the Big Bang. Stephen Hawking. I'm not trying to pick on him, he's just the Einstein of our age. Like, if you're going to take an authority, go to the highest body in the field. And what I find interesting is that Stephen Hawking focused and specialized on theoretical science. Things that they hope and propose to one day prove. But yet he's doubting God, which we don't say we know where he comes from, but we have no real proof. We have many signs, but this is what we believe. Okay, so what basically continues, and as we see here, the National Geographic, this is an article from one of their websites, and it says, all species evolved from a single cell. Study finds. If I find something, there's no doubt that I found it, or that I found it, right? But this evidence, it's fine, it's done, I've got it, no stress. Then the very next verse, they go to Christians, and they say, creationism is called an absolute horrible hypothesis, statistically speaking. This is the subheading of the article. For me, this hurts because now I'm waiting. Okay, you're making a very, very big claim. Do you have evidence? Then the very first sentence of this article, it says, all life on Earth evolved from a single-celled organism that lived roughly 3.5 billion years ago. A new study seems to confirm. Seems and finds are two different things. If I walk up to a lady and I say, you seem pregnant, there is a very big difference between whether I'm right or whether I'm not. The one's going to cause a clap and the other one's going to say, ah, thank you. There is a very, very big difference, but this is the articles that we read. And we live in a society where we share headlines. Every morning you get like forward, and then you go in and you go out, in, out. So you can clear all your WhatsApp messages from the morning from the, everyone's like forwarding stuff. And like, we are called to share the message, but we are also called to think about what we share. And that's what we're here. We're here to know why. And we read stuff and we think that National Geographic has researched this. This article that discriminates against Christianity is a 3-minute read, which you can't see, but down on the top. The whole article is a 3-minute read. It's not a proper hypothesis or a breakdown of what they found. It's a 3-minute read. The article is like this. And this is what I believe we should stop hearing. Stop, just know the stuff. Don't get in an argument. Everything that we're learning here today is not to win an argument, it's to have answers, to stop feeling inferior. Because I myself have felt inferior. I remember when I first became a Christian, I had questions, and I asked, and everyone was like, no, you need to have faith. If you ask questions, I've had this told to me as well, don't ask questions because that means you're doubting God. No, if I ask my wife, what would you like for dinner? I just want to know. I'm not doubting whether you exist, I'm just like, what do you want to eat? And this is what we've got. We've got people like, no, don't doubt God. I'm not doubting God, I want to know, what's your favorite color? No, how do we get here? It's good, ask questions, that's how you grow in a relationship. And the thing is, they talk about dating methods. Now, there's 2 general dating methods. The one dating method is called carbon dating. This is the one that sounds the most scientific. And in general, it is because it uses the same principle how they figure out how long they've been dead. Because they take your body temperature and then, okay, what's it now and what's it supposed to be? How long did the job take into account the environment? Okay, you've been there for 2 hours. 10 units. That's how generally how you know. But now, if we look at dating methods, carbon dating works according to this principle. The sun, the yellow thing outside, that is blessing us today because we can see the screen a little bit, which is brilliant. So the sun reacts with nitrogen-14. Now you don't need to remember this, just get the general idea. So the sun reacts with nitrogen-14. Nitrogen-14 turns into carbon-14, and this gets absorbed by all living matter. You, me, animals. Trees, anything like this. If I eat an animal, or if I eat vegetarians, if you eat lettuce, it is absorbed by lettuce. Carbon-14. So there's this sort of equilibrium with everything. And then when you die, this decreases by a half-life. So half of this becomes this in about 5,000 years. 5,300 something years. And this is how they calculate. So if they find something, they test the carbon-14 and it's like, okay, cool, this has been there for 20,000 years. Theoretically, this works fine. So the principle works. But what happens is we get figures like this, where a living snail is carbon dated as 27,000 years old, and this is from the Science Journal, in 1984. A freshly killed seal was carbon dated as having died 1,300 years ago, according to the Antarctic Journal of Science. And then according to the Natural History Journal and a book, and it says the lower leg of the Fairbanks mammoth, so the lower leg was carbonated at 15,000 something years old, and the skin and its flesh was carbonated at 21,000 years old. So all I'm saying is that if we do science, let's have a ruler, not a rubber ruler. Because if you get figures like this, I can't trust them. Martin does, there we go, he does woodwork. He knows if we're going to do something like build a cabinet, I use length times width and then I get the area. I can use the same formula for a floor or a roof or anything else to try and figure out how big it is. This formula works. If you're going to do something here, it should be transferable to something else and it should always work. If it doesn't work, it means there's information missing. So these figures don't match. But that is usually what they use for plan B. Plan A is to use this thing. Thank you, Peter, for being the illustrator of this, so that we don't go over copyright laws. So basically what they do, you've all seen the movie Jurassic Park. Now the movie Jurassic Park is based on different ground layers. They find Jurassic bones in this layer, and then the next layer up is the Cretaceous era, and then every age has a different layer. So what they do is they take these layers and then they give them names and they give them dates, and this is how they believe. But there's no actual evidence for this. This was actually created by a man named, I think it's James Hudson, James Hudson in 1795. That's when they created this theory, and they're still using it in textbooks today. You're welcome to Google it afterwards, or even now, don't believe me. But this is what they do. Now, how they use this is they date the rocks by the fossils they find in them, and they date the fossils by the rocks they find in them. It doesn't make sense because you're not using anything solid or something that we know for a fact. This is what we do. If you don't believe me, this comes from the American Journal of Science. I want you to please focus on this. The rocks do date the fossils, but the fossils date the rocks more accurately. This is based on a preconceived idea. This is not science, this is literally what we are hoping to believe. And I don't know why this is going on. And every time I've had this discussion with someone who knows a bit more about science, they generally say because we haven't got anything else to replace it. That's not a good argumentation. If we don't have anything to replace it, we'll say, I don't know. That's literally what we should go. So now this was created by a man named Ernest Hinkle in 1866. He created this according to the preconceived idea or the belief, and this is what he told people, that our development in the womb mirrors or parallels that of living animals. So how we look in the fetus is exactly how the rabbit looks, how the duck looks, and how all other animals. And because we share the same type of development, this means that we're all the same. We all come from the same type of species. And this is very personal to me because one of my students, I teach English for a living. Yes, I know my English is not up there, but it's better than theirs. And it's with that same mentality that I'm doing this. I don't know everything, but my knowledge of this might be one thing that you don't know. And that's, because we grow one thing at a time, eventually we get a whole building that we can have church. Anyway, so she is a brain surgeon, number one. So she is a medical doctor in South Korea, one of the most developed countries in the world. Brain surgeon. And she believes thoroughly, till today, in evolution because of this. This was taught to her in university, in medical school. But 18 years after this came out, his co-workers found him out and realized that he was lying. In this article from the London Times, it says, "This is one of the worst cases of scientific fraud. It is shocking to believe that someone one thought was a great scientist was deliberately misleading. It makes me angry because what the Haeckel did was fake human embryos and copy it, pretending that the salamander and the pig and all the others look the same across the stages of development. They don't. These are fakes." What Haeckel then did was he blamed the draftsman. So he blamed the illustrator. He's like, no, the guy who drew it. I'm sorry, don't send me to prison. But then they discovered that he was the draftsman. And this is what is happening, and it's still in textbook. Now I know we have slow service delivery here in South Africa, and sometimes we get our textbooks late, but 100 years is a bit late. Some of us have seen this. This is Mrs. Fleck, which, by the way, recently they discovered is actually Mr. Fleck. They posted it on Syria, and I only found out it's Mr. Fleck now, and I was looking for this picture. But this is what they call a missing link. This is one of the most famous fossils ever found for a missing link. So people believe that this is brilliant because this shows the link between apes and us. Because we find monkeys and we find apes and then humans. And we never see this in-between phase. You know, like from friend to friend zone to relationship, we don't find the space in between, like where do we make this connection? And then they find these fossils and they're like, yes, that's it. And the suspect is one of the oldest ones. So what they basically do is they construct scenes like this, and again from the textbook. Now this missing link is called Nebraska Man, because they found it in the Nebraska Valley in America. So what we see in textbooks and what we see in museums is this illustration. You see this man, so obviously they found enough evidence to realize that he's semi-erect from going from monkey to here, so he's like standing erect and he's able to use tools, he's not that hairy. He lived at the same time as camels apparently, if you look at the picture. And I'm saying this because this is what we see. We see these beautiful illustrations in museums, and then we wonder, okay, but I wonder how many fossils and what did they find? That they constructed this whole scene from a single tooth. One tooth. This whole missing link. If we read at the top there, it says the whole, let me just double check here. The earliest man tracked by a tooth. An astounding recovery, the human, and then it continues with the article. Scientists construct a million-year-old link from tooth found near Bryson former home, and then it's over. And then to make matters worse, they found that it's pig's tooth. And I'm not lying. They discover it is a pig's tooth. And then they know this one. But there are many others. There's not just this one. They found Piltdown Man and Nebraska Man and a bunch of others. You're more than welcome to follow this rabbit hole as long as it goes. And the thing is, what they do is they say, okay, but listen, chimps and humans, the whole argument is that we and chimps are 96% similar. If you look genetically, according to our DNA, we're 96% similar. Once again, length times width gives us a formula. It should be transferable. If this is a valid argument, I can take it from here and put it there. Who agrees with this? This is science. If it works here, it should work here. Now I've got a theory, and I need someone to vouch for this. Watermelons are 92% water. I believe watermelons become clouds. It's the same argument. Literally, it's the same argument. It's 92% water, clouds are 100% water. It's the same argument. Believe it or not. Is mine faulty? Yes, mine sounds ridiculous. But if I add millions of years, is it invalid? No. Doesn't happen. But seeing that the internet is awesome, I did find a video to construct it. Watermelon clouds. The reason I put that up is just to highlight again. You can find anything on the internet. You can find anything. If you want to find a truth, you can find it on the internet. And that's what I really want to discourage today. Find truth. Know why we believe what we believe. Know why we do what we do. And know why we believe what we do. So now we've in my opinion, discredited a lot of what evolution and science says, and it put us off the back foot. We're just like, okay, now what do we say? It's one thing to say that someone else does not do something. What do you say? Stop telling me there's a problem and give me a solution. All I can tell you is what the Bible says, and then let's look at observable evidence and not theoretical hope and trust and believe. And hopefully this will point to some truth. Okay, so what the Bible in general teaches, there's the timeline, and we'll get a bit deeper into that at the next session. But what the Bible generally teaches, and you can see this on page, I think, 33 in your big books, page right after the halfway mark. God created everything 6,000 years ago. And then a very important date, 4,500 or 4,400 years ago, roughly, God flooded the world. Judged the world, showed us what He can do, flooded the world. Then 2,000 years ago, Jesus came to offer salvation for those who want to take it. And then, where we are today, we're waiting for Jesus to return any day. And the thing is, this is what I believe the Bible teaches. And where do I get the dates? In general, if you add up all the dates, John had his first child at 100, and he had his child at 33, and he had his child at 600 and something. If you add all those dates, you generally get a rough number of about 6,000 years. Some people say no, it's 10, some people it's about. Like, let's use the man version of the story. You know, the general version. It doesn't need to be 6,422 in the afternoon. Well, I'm guessing it was in the afternoon because it was just before Eve. So, Pete likes to say every time I make a joke about it, that's how bad my day is. Okay. Now, when my wife and I first met, a long time ago, I was in the friend zone, like I said, missing links. So, friendship, friend zone, then eventually we started going out. And one of our first brides, lovely bride, lit the fire, started conversing. My dad was still behind us. He gave us our privacy, even though he was like right behind the window. And we're buying, we're chatting, and about 2 hours later, I'm like, we're buying. And then like a run, like 5 hours. And the charcoal is finished, and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. So what do? We made the fire in our house. We've all done that, don't you? All of you have done that at some stage. Because what does this teach us? If you burn anything, eventually it burns out. Okay? You know that. Except if you add fuel or wood or just anything to sort of... So we can observe that we're losing the sun. Einstein was right, it is shrinking. Yes, there's chemical imbalances and things are exploding and things are adding, but only so much. We're technically losing the sun, which means the sun was bigger. If the Earth was billions of years old, at some stage it would have been that big that it probably would have scorched the Earth. If the Bible is right, that 6,000 years won't make that big a difference. It was a bit hotter. In fact, we're getting cooler, not hotter. While we're up there, let's look at the moon. We can see from observable evidence, not theoretical movies, we can see that the moon is moving away from the Earth. If the Earth is millions of years old, why do we still have the moon? Think about it. If we're losing something, it's like your wallet. In the beginning of the month, you start losing money, and eventually you're out. It's like the moon, you start, and then you're out. If the Earth is thousands of years old, it would be a bit closer. The tides that we have, because for those of you who don't know, the moon influences the water tide, high tide, low tide. If the Earth was billions of years old, 3.5 to be exact apparently, then the tides would have been so big it just would have filled everything. And probably at some stage close enough to touch. So it just doesn't make sense. But if the Earth is thousands of years old, it would be a bit closer. Moses would have seen the sun a bit better than we do. That's about it. There's no issue. So biblically, if you look at science, there's no contradiction. But if you look at science versus science, then there's some contradictions. Now, scientists have found a way to sort of disprove this theory that I'm saying, that it doesn't make sense. And they said, okay, we know where the moon comes from. Thousands of years ago, a planet the size of Mars hit the Earth, boom. And then the shrapnel or the debris formed the moon. Why is there no observable evidence? Why is the moon perfectly round? It doesn't make sense. That's me personally. I don't know if you agree or not. But then also, what about Saturn? Saturn has 53 moons. Mars has 2 moons. Why do these planets keep surviving? It's not about science. And this comes from NASA, by the way. This whole article describes where the woman comes from. So, and by the way, we're almost done, we're almost going to have coffee. So what we're going to do is, if we look at so the United Nations, their figures of human population, this graph shows how many people there are. Now, in 2011, we hit the 7 billion mark, we're about 7.8 now, 7.7. If you follow this graph, in 2015, we were 1 billion people. Okay? This is statistically, census, according to roughly about 1 billion people. And because we get more, the more we get, the quicker we rise. Because it multiplies and multiplies, and because more people get more babies, that's why there's such a big jump. If the Earth is billions of years old, why isn't there more people? If you follow this graph all the way down, it shows that humanity started roughly about 4,500 years ago, which is exactly the time to go. That sort of makes sense to me. But then you're going to say, okay, listen, what about the dinosaurs? The Bible doesn't say anything about dinosaurs. We all love dinosaurs, we told them as kids, and we brilliant, one of the teeth, and find one. But what if I told you that the word dinosaur was only created about 160 years ago? So the word dinosaur itself was only created 300 years ago, like 180, I think 1860 was created. So before that, they had to use a different word that meant big and terrible lizard. And then they used the word dragon. I mean, Henry was about dragon, and now you're going, oh, there we go. It was doing so well, now he's off the fence. The word dragon, according to definition, means terrible lizard. That's what it means. It doesn't mean fire breathing, fine. What's that series that everyone's watching? Game of Thrones? Yes. No, apparently a lot of this stuff. Anyway, now, I just want that as a foundation. Now, who of you knows who Marco Polo is? Okay, it's not the guy in the pool. It wasn't the one So, now, Marco Polo was an Italian explorer. Okay? Italian explorer, he went from Italy, and he did what no man before him could do. He went to China, which many people could do, but he was able to return. When they reached China, for some reason the Chinese didn't like it. We can see that because they had a very big war. I'm sort of guessing that the Chinese come from South Africa at some stage because we've got people, they've got people, they just really like high grade, and we like staying here. But what Marco Polo did with his travels, is he got there, and the emperor at the time, Kublai Khan, gave him a golden passport. Now, the golden passport entitled him wherever he went, he would get money, he would get horses, he would get lodging, he would get anything he wanted because he's a VIP citizen of the state. Sort of thing Anyway, so he got everything he wanted with this thing. And when he came back, remember, he was a VIP, he's got nothing to lose. Like, he just came back, he's the hero of the day, he's the first guy to actually return. And in his writings, he recorded that the emperor had a royal dragon feeder position in his government system, a royal dragon feeder. Then also from all Chinese writings, we see that the Chinese emperors at one stage had dragons with their cars. Now, if you remove this Game of Thrones image out of your head and just see the lizards, sort of makes sense. And then they found these, the Ica stones. These were found in South America and Peru. There's thousands of them. And we can see from the remains where they were found in that there are hundreds and thousands, about 1,000 years old probably. And they are looking for dinosaurs. I'm saying, that's not funny. You have to see a dinosaur to draw a dinosaur. You sort of need to make this connection. Now, there are people who say that this, these have been proven wrong because the guy says he drew it himself. But this only happened after they said, listen, you can't sell artifacts. Oh, I drew it. If he drew them, he would not draw circles on them. He would not draw people riding on them and then try and pass it off as fake. If you want to pass something off as fake, you need to make it look like an original. We don't have an idea of circles on dinosaurs. We don't have this perception of people riding dinosaurs. It just doesn't make sense. Now, let's look at the Bible. Now, I want everyone to be together. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Now, this is basically sort of where we're coming to a close for the first section. The book of Job is a bit different than the rest of the Bible. It gives this dialogue of four friends discussing who God is, much like we're doing today. talks about, no, I think this is God, no, I think this is God, no, I think this is God. It just carries on for like 38 chapters. It's a very interesting book, but it's also a bit confusing. Because the whole time you need to keep like track who's saying what, and because just because the Bible says it doesn't mean it's true. Because the Bible says that George said it, yes, it's true that George said it, but it doesn't mean that George is speaking the truth. There's 4 different opinions about who God is. And we need to remember that when we read the Bible. But eventually God steps in like a parent who gets tired of children bickering. And he just rocks up and he's like, okay guys, you have no idea who I am. And he just starts posing question after question after question after question. Much like a parent would like, who pays the rent? Who makes sure that this universe keeps on going? Who makes sure that you have a roof on your head? That type of thing. So that's basically what God just does. And he just hammers at them for about 3 chapters, like full on. And I think it's about 50 or 40 questions, and then he just goes and they just like, yes, yes, yes. But then he ends this whole argument with like this finale of this ultimate show of power that they can see, what they can observe. And he uses 2 different animals, like the top of his creation. He uses a land animal and he uses a sea animal. You're more than welcome to read it. You break it 3 times. But he uses this land animal called the behemoth. That is apparently so big that it's just huge. Like nothing can pierce it. No spear can pierce it. When it goes to the river, it empties the river. It has the tail that like swings like a cedar tree. It's one of those huge, huge, huge trees. The whole Bible keeps on when it talks about a cedar tree, it talks about this massive tree. Now some Bible translations talk about a hippopotamus. I don't know the last time we saw a hippopotamus. It's not really like what I would call like moving like a tree. So obviously there's a translation mistake, like this little tip. Other translations say it's an ox, like a wilderness. Still, I don't really see it emptying a river. I don't see this big tail. Some even use like a crocodile. This is much closer because it's got a big tail. But I wouldn't compare it to a tree. I also never ever compare a crocodile emptying a river. So that's why I keep saying, right, for the King James, read anyone which you're going to read. Like literally, if you're going to read any translation, read it. If you're going to read the Message, read it. As long as you're reading something. Because people say, no, I can't read the King James, I'm not going to read anything. Read what you're going to read. Anyways, so this behemoth is explained as this big animal. I see it as one of those big dinosaurs with long head, long tail. That sort of pictures in my head that makes sense to me. Then, this final one, God talks about the sea creature that is so unstoppable, nothing can stop it. And it is just like huge. And then the very last verse, this is where people are like, see the Bible reading people are crazy. It says, his breath kindleth coals and flames go out of his mouth. You're saying, what? His breath kindleth coals and flame goeth out of his mouth. I'm not saying all dinosaurs did this. I'm saying this comes out of the mouth of God, then let's at least consider it. Because what we sometimes do is like, no, this doesn't happen. This is fictional. On what grounds do we decide this is fictional apart from the fact that I don't understand it yet? Don't say that it didn't happen because you don't understand it. Now, this is a theory that I thoroughly believe, but I can base it on nothing on. This is like a Johann disclaimer from start to finish. You know how certain animals get to spit poison? Okay? Poison is completely fine within the animal. No issues, they're fine. This animal is underneath the poison. Now there are certain chemicals that ignite the moment it reacts with air. Like this, for example. Let's give this a go. And that's not really what I would call very like dragon, but still, we're getting it. Now, all I'm saying is there are certain ways to try and understand it. Maybe he had a chemical inside. Maybe there was a way for this undersea creature that never really saw or never really experienced air. When he came out, if he would spit his venom, maybe he would. This is literally me just covering all the bases to say that this is my theory. I can tell you what the Bible teaches. Maybe it teaches this, maybe it teaches this. And why this is so important? Because of these 4 questions, and then we're back into God. Because in life we have 4 main questions. First question, where do we come from? If evolution is true, here on the science side, if evolution is true, you have no reason to be here, and you're the result of a cosmic birth 4.5 billion years ago, or 14.5 billion years ago. You're here for no reason, you're an accident. I know some of you had a few accidents and you're sitting next to you and you're son and daughter, but it's not the same type of accident. Things happen. Don't judge me, please. There's a difference because you're still being loved. There's still someone to love you. There's a big difference between that type of accident, which very often is God's will. This is what I'm trying to focus on. But on this side, God created us out of love. On this side, there's science that says you're here by accident. Question number 2, why are we here? Again, absolutely no purpose. In fact, the quicker you die, the quicker you become compost, and the quicker you start contributing. This is according to evolution, if this is what you do, because there's nothing driving it. And some people say, no, but God can use evolution. No, you can't, because God created plants, and then the next day He created the sun. It's not millions of years, and then it doesn't gel. Jesus speaks about Genesis being like a real historical event. If the Bible is true, by some miracle that we believe, we are here by purpose. You are called for a reason, and you're sitting here for a reason. Question 3, how do you know right from wrong? There is absolutely no right or wrong. I can go into your house, I can see your TV, and I don't care. Because there is no right or wrong. I decide what is right or wrong. My parents decide, governments decide, but no one agrees. Now, I've discussed this with doctors of philosophy in Germany, because of the nature of my work, I get to speak to many different people. And he admitted it is literally, without God, there is no way to determine right from wrong according from our perception. God is right, the Creator decides. Who decides what you do in your house? You. Who decides what we do on His earth? He does. And this brings us to our final question. Where do you go when you die? Evolution? We just said, wonderful composting for no purpose. It sounds terrible, but it's blunt, and that's what it is. If you believe this, if you believe there's no purpose, then there's no, literally, the quicker you die, the quicker you start contributing, because before then, you're just polluting. God is true, then we're offering you salvation. God created everything. He sent His Son, equal the sacrifice that we could not. And that's why we're here today. Literally, we're extending this to everyone else. Because the Bible says that we need to be able to tell people why we believe, which is why we wear these shirts. Know why you believe, why there's a hope within you. And you're saying, no, but you can't say that because not everyone is called. No, everyone is called to know why they are saved. Everyone is called to know why there is a hope. Because people come to you, and if you don't have answers, we're allowed to say people don't go to heaven, but we're not allowed to say people go to hell. It's terrible because it hurts, it stings. But unfortunately, it's true. We read in the Bible that how will people know unless we tell them? That's false teaching. And that's why we're here today. For the next session, please go grab a cup of coffee. We're going to be back in about 10 to 10 to 11. We'll be back there. And yes, have a nice cup of coffee, relax.